What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV back here for another Tottenham update for you guys regarding all Tottenham transfers or rumoured transfers. We're going to start off talking about Marcus Edwards, as Record Portugal broke yesterday or reported yesterday, saying that Marcus Edwards is not particularly enticed by the prospect of moving to a Crystal Palace and sees a return to Tottenham Hotspur as a more attractive proposition for himself. Sporting value Edwards at £15 million. With Spurs 35% sell-on cut, the player would be bought for around a fee of £9.75 million if we were to go and do a deal for him.
Yeah, I mean, for me, of course, it makes sense for Edwards to want to return back to his boyhood club, I think, only because if we want him, I think we want him to play a part in the team, and obviously he's going to get Europa League minutes. He's going to obviously be competing with Brendan Johnson on that right-hand side, so maybe he fancies himself to get a space in that team. But then again, you know, with Olise leaving, there is a natural spot for him to replace Olise at Crystal Palace if that's what the direction they're going in. So I can understand kind of both modes of thought, but it's whether Tottenham is seriously interested in him or not is what's going to be the crux here. Because surely, if Tottenham really want him, he does come back to Tottenham, I would think. Being a guy who grew up at Tottenham, being a boyhood Tottenham fan. So I think a chance to resurrect that dream of playing for Tottenham, I can understand the pull of that.
Yeah, I mean, the only way I see Tottenham doing the deal is just because of the club train numbers. If the club train numbers weren't an issue, I couldn't see this one being even a conversation within the club, to be honest. I think it's literally just down to those club train numbers. And we know that we're desperate for it this summer, especially if the likes of Skip is going to leave. He wants to leave. We want him to stay just because of the club numbers. So from that perspective, it does make sense. But in terms of taking us onto the next level, improving the squad, doesn't really make sense.
Yeah. And also, we have to make a decision about Troy Parrott as well. So whether it's keep Troy Parrott, keep Skip, or we'll get Edwards or Walker Peters, who might be off to West Ham. We have to make a choice there.
Yeah. So who are the homegrown guys at the moment? So you've got the two goalkeepers, you've got Oliver Skip, and there's Troy Parrott. Is there one more, or is that it?
Oh, Tanganga's gone.
That's it. That's it.
Hmm.
Yeah. And both Skip and Parrott are both like rumored to be leaving this summer. So I mean, it's a very difficult situation. But in terms of one that could potentially be an incoming is Archie Gray. Simon Jones from the Mail says that Tottenham are preparing to make a move for Leeds United's Archie Gray alongside London rivals Chelsea and Arsenal. Spurs will have to meet Leeds' valuation of £30 million. Alistair Gold says that Tottenham and Leeds United are casting an eye over a number of each other's players this summer with potential moves in mind, as Spurs do retain a strong interest in Archie Gray.
Look, as we've said before, everyone's interested in Archie Gray. He's a massively talented youngster who's doing brilliantly for Leeds right now. I think it will cost more than 30 million, to be honest. I reckon, given the kind of fight there is for him and the interest there is for him, there's no reason to limit his price at 30 million. Maybe, look, with the rumours that Skip might want to go there, maybe we could have a leg up. We can offer them Skip and we can get Archie Gray in return for a bit of money off. Maybe that would help. But if we're in a battle with Chelsea and Arsenal, it's going to be difficult to win that, especially Chelsea give a lot more, clearly give a lot more opportunities to youngsters at the moment, seeing as the direction they're going in. Arsenal, obviously, in a much more settled way than we are as a team. So maybe he'd want to join that. But then, I guess, and money-wise, can we offer what Chelsea and Arsenal are going to offer? I don't know. So I don't know how we come out on top there.
Well, you say about giving chances to youth, to youngsters. When you're talking about specifically Archie Gray, I think it could be a bit different to maybe the last season, first of all, with a lot more football. Second of all, you're looking at the likes of Emerson Royale and Jed Spence leaving the club, which puts him second in line at right back. He'll have maybe opportunities to play in midfield as well with the amount of game time that we are going to have. So I actually think if he was to move here, I think he would get a lot of minutes.
I'm not saying he wouldn't. I'm just saying from his point of view, Chelsea have been signing a lot of young players and giving them all opportunities, making them all starters in the team. They're also going to have Europa League football next season. So does he think I'm more guaranteed a chances at Chelsea, or does he think maybe Tottenham is a better place for me? We have to sell him that project.
It depends where he sees himself as, like, where's his natural position? Where does he want to play? If it's at right back, don't really see a spot for him at Chelsea with Malo Gusto and Reece James, albeit Reece James does seem to pick up an injury every time he plays. At Arsenal, they've got Ben White and Tomiyasu. In midfield, is he going to get ahead of anyone in those two teams? I don't know. I think in terms of hierarchy in the squad, I actually think Spurs is where he's going to get the most minutes out of those three clubs.
Right back, yeah, you're probably right. Yeah, I think if you look at it, if we sell it to him that way, I think there's a good shout. So hopefully we can put our hat in the ring and say this is the best club for you. I do believe he's a midfielder playing at right back rather than the other way around. I think his natural position is midfield. Huh?
That suits him at Spurs playing at right back because it's different kind of way to play right back as opposed to the other clubs.
Definitely, it's also true as well. So very interesting. If we can get that over the line, I'd be very, very impressed because Archie Gray is a really talented player, and there's a lot of talk about him, rightly so. He's doing fantastic work at Leeds. I'd love him at Tottenham, but I'll be surprised if we can win that race.
Yeah, look, I've said it consistently. I don't think he will sign this summer just because of the amount of clubs interested in him. But the more and more I think about it, the more and more it makes sense, I think, for both parties. He's such a young player as well. Like, he could spend the next 5 years at Spurs, next 6 years at Spurs, and still be young enough to go and go to wherever he wants. Really, he's 18
Maybe,
years old.
and also Tottenham. I know he's probably good enough to be part of the first team now, from what I've seen. But it could be worth buying him and loaning him back, giving him another year of development, playing week in week out. Maybe that could give us a leg up as well.
Potentially. Let's move on and talk about Jacob Ramsey again. Alistair Gold says that there is a growing feeling that a bid between 40 and 50 million could prize Jacob Ramsey away from Aston Villa should he choose to leave the club. And Spurs also retain an interest in Conor Gallagher and Desiree Douillet out in France for Rennes. 40, 50 million for Jacob Ramsey. I mean, I know that's the kind of going rate for players like that. Off the back of the season he's just had, I think his valuation should drop a little bit.
I think the only reason we'd be going for Ramsey is because Villa are struggling with PSR and need to sell, and they'd be selling for a cheaper price. I think 40 to 50 million doesn't represent a price for me which is good value for someone like Ramsey. And if we're going to spend that kind of money, I'd rather spend the 50 million, put it down on Gallagher if that's still a possibility, or find someone else rather than splash it on Ramsey. I don't think that makes sense to me. That seems quite expensive, if anything. So what I think, I can understand the Ramsey deal if it's a cheap deal because Villa need the money, so they're willing to take a bit less we're willing to get him on a for good value. But if we're paying that kind of money, that doesn't represent good value for me. So that doesn't make sense.
What is that the kind of highest in your eyes you think we should be going for someone like Jacob Ramsey?
I think 30 million, 30, 35 million, somewhere in that ballpark. I wouldn't be paying more than 35 and they're the max.
Yeah, I mean, I probably would push it out to 40, but that's at the absolute max. Maybe like 30 million plus Giovanni Lo Celso. I think that would probably be representative of a good deal as well. But yeah, I mean, with those kind of figures, I can't really see Spurs doing a deal, to be honest.
No, it doesn't make sense. I think they went into this deal thinking 30 million, I reckon, because with Villa's struggles. But now Villa have sold a few players, haven't they, to Chelsea? Those struggles are lesser. So maybe that's why.
If Chillyman's going for 20 million, how much for Jacob Ramsey be going for?
Yeah, it's also a good point. Maybe they're looking at that as well, seeing as we're getting 20 million for him. Ramsey's at least double that.
Yeah. Also, the way you got to look at it is that Johan Lang has seen Jacob Ramsey up close. He knows what he's about completely. So maybe we know this one is being driven by him. So sometimes you just got to trust the recruitment as well.
Of course. Well, if we do sign him for 40 million, I will be excited about it. I just right now, if I'm predicting, for me, it just doesn't seem like good value. But maybe I'm wrong.
Let's talk about Yousef Fofana now. We've got two reports. One from Peter O'Rourke that says Tottenham are interested in Yousef Fofana from Monaco. AC Milan are continuing talks as they advance on a deal, while Spurs are prepared to wait in the background in case discussions collapse. However, Tutto Juve says that Spurs are the leading candidates to sign Monaco's midfielder Yousef Fofana this summer. The Lily Whites are said to be at the front of the queue for the 25-year-old France international. who could command around a 30 million euro fee. However, a swoop for the Monaco midfielder is not to become unrivaled, with Juventus, Arsenal, Manchester United all credited with an interest for the in the report. Ange Postecoglou said he wants to get ahead of everyone in the race to secure his services.
Well, I'm sure we want to get ahead of everyone in the race for every side we want to make, which is what obviously makes sense. But I mean, it'd be an exciting deal to get done. Obviously, these rumours aren't from very reliable sources, so I'm not going to get too excited. But I think Fofana would be a brilliant signing. I'd be interested to see if he comes in to play the number 6 or the number 8, or can do both roles. We've got some interesting decisions to make when it comes to our midfield, especially if we're interested in someone like Ramsey, what we do with some of our midfielders, where we see them, or when maybe there will be some surprise sales in our midfield. But Fofana would be a brilliant signing. I think he had a brilliant season at Monaco. Such a strong midfielder, but also has good technical ability. Currently at the Euros of France, but hasn't been starting many games. But has looked all right when he's come on. So it'll be an interesting deal if we can get it done.
Absolutely. I really rate him. I think he's a really good player with 1 year left on his deal. He's someone that you can pick up for really good value. And let's say like you're comparing Jacob Ramsey for 40 to 50 million or Yousef Fofana for 30 million, 25 million pounds. I mean, it's a no-brainer, isn't it?
Agreed.
Last but not least, let's talk about Mikey Moore. This is a interesting, maybe a bit worrying update from the Footy Insider, saying that Borussia Dortmund have made a stunning move to sign Tottenham sensation Mikey Moore. Moore is unable to sign a professional contract with Spurs until he's 17 on the 11th of August, which provided a window for Dortmund to try and tempt him away from North London. Dortmund have made Moore a massive offer to make the move to Germany as they look to snap up another promising young talent. The winger is now set to weigh up whether to join the Bundesliga club or continue his development in North London. We know Mikey Moore's a big Tottenham boy, comes from a big Tottenham family, come through all the age groups at the Tottenham Youth Academy. Even in his celebrations for the under-18s, he does the old Heung-min Son celebration. So that shows you maybe where his allegiances lie. But when you look at it, and you spoke about the way that the pathway between the youth to the main team, and then you look at maybe somehow how youth players develop at Dortmund, like Jadon Sancho, Jude Bellingham, and these kind of players. Do you think he will be tempted?
I think he would be tempted, yeah, just because I think Dortmund clearly offer a much better pathway than Tottenham. They've got a much better track record of developing youth players than Tottenham do. And if he's going with his heart, he'll probably stay with Tottenham. But if he's going with his head, then I think he might be tempted by a move to Dortmund. And if people advising him say, look, you go to Dortmund, if you do well, they will get you in the first team. There will be a pathway there. Whereas at Tottenham, they're going to be signing a player for 30 million or 50 million in that position. They'll be having players all the time. Are you guaranteed a pathway to the first team, even if you look like you're ready? Look, let's be honest, at Tottenham, you're not. That is the reality. There is no clear pathway right now, or at least that hasn't proven to be a clear pathway. Now, that can change. Let's hope those things have changed. We've been calling for more opportunities for young players, but on one side we're calling for more opportunities for young players, and also we're calling for more big signings, and those two things sometimes don't match up too well. So I hope that we can convince Mikey Moore that there is a place for him here, and that if we promise him once he develops and once he again, I guess the fact he's already getting opportunities hopefully is showing him that the more he shows at this level, the more he develops, the more opportunities he's going to get. But I'm not saying he will move. I'm just saying I think it's not an easy decision. It's not a decision he'll just I think just cast aside. If it is true that he's got a big offer, I think he will consider it, and I'm hoping Tottenham can convince him that he will get the opportunities if he is good enough. But Dortmund, they've got the better track record. That's just reality at the moment.
Do you reckon that's why they gave him the minutes at the end of the season? Because they know like any club can snap him up before August, and they just like wanted to see him have maybe in his mind have a bit of light at the end of the tunnel at the early age of 16.
I hope so. I mean that would be a smart move from Tottenham to at least show him what he's capable of. But Dortmund have a track record of snatching youngsters as well from other clubs, and you look at there now, they've got what's his name, that winger Gittins. Is it Gittins? He's playing at the moment. He's a youngster, I think 17, 18, getting serious minutes. They're just known for bringing youngsters through the team.
You look at the two players I mentioned, Sancho and Bellingham. Obviously, Sancho didn't work out for him, and he was back there on loan. Look at Ian Maatsen. He wasn't getting a look in at Chelsea, and then suddenly he's playing in a Champions League final. It's like and starring in the Champions League semi-final. So there is a clear pathway there, 100%. But I would just hope that his allegiances to Spurs, how his Spurs fan growing up, and all that kind of stuff. I feel like he will just about side with Spurs, but it is a big, big decision. You're right. And I hope, obviously, that he stays at Tottenham, because I'm a big, big, massive believer of Mikey Moore, as you all know out there. So, yeah, let's hope he does make that decision to stay at Tottenham. But that is your Tottenham update for today. Let me know in the comment section below your thoughts regarding all those news stories we brought to you today. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.